Okay, we are just about finished. Gonna work on the caterpillar and the fly. I'm really kind of disappointed in some of these directions. Get down to the caterpillar and the fly, and the small paragraph that we get really doesn't address what to use or anything like that. So I am assuming that we're going to use our gray value scale. So I'm just going to, work with these three grays and add and subtract, along with white and with black to get our different values. And we'll just kind of work these out. They are minor parts of the composition, and I think that we can pretty well do that, but I would just have liked to have seen a little better description. So I'm going to put, I've traced on my little caterpillar. I'm putting on extender, and our information does tell us to do about a value 4 or 5. So this is a 6 and this is a 3, so I'm going to mix between the two. I'm going to take mostly the 6 and then just a little bit of the 3 to kind of bring it back down a little. And I'm just going to brush mix those on my little round brush, and just add and subtract the light and the dark until you get the value that you like. So I'm just gonna fill this in, these little sections. And he's right on top of the stem. I actually feel like I covered up my stem, so I'm going to rinse my brush and come back with my extender brush and just pull that bottom part up away from the stem. So that he is on the stem but not blocking it out. And able to do this because we put extender down first, the paint is still wet, and my brush has extender in it. So if you decide about that right away, then you can fix it. Okay, so that's fixed. We're shading with black, and we're highlighting with the lighter grays. So I'm going to pull out some black from my other palette, and I'm going to use a really tiny filbert. Now I could try and float this on with an angle or a flat or even a filbert, but it's really tiny in there, so I'm just going to use a pat blending method. So I'm going to pick up a little black on my tiny little filbert. I also have dressed it with extender. Okay, and then I'm going to just come in just very narrowly on the bottom side of my caterpillar and put a line in there, and then I'm going to take my tiniest little Kingsland mop and just soften that line, and I'm going to push it toward the caterpillar, not toward the stem. Then I'm going to come in and section him with black, and again use my tiny little mop to soften those lines. Okay, now I'm going to clean this brush, and I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm going to go into about a value 9 gray. Still happen to have some of this from the previous mix. And I'm just gonna tap in this tiny little highlight right there, and tap in the softening, and there's our caterpillar. If you want to make him a little darker or a little lighter on his highlights and shades, you can do that, but I would wait until that dries down and then glaze it and then work with it, because it's such a tiny area that it's easily messed up. So also we're going to mix pine green and red violet and do some shadow on the tulip underneath. So we'll take a little red violet and take a little pine. Well, here's the pine green. Okay. Maybe a little more red violet. Brush mix that on your palette so you get a nice dark brownish looking color. And then just come right here and on the tulip, just right under the caterpillar, brush that on. Take your tiny little mop once again and soften out that line. I think I want it to come down. I actually think I want it to shadow most of that tulip stem, so I got it a little bit wet in there. So best thing to do, dry it down. Brush it back on there. Okay. Then if you want to put some tiny little feet on there or something, you can do that. And so now let's come down here to the fly. Let's make sure you can see. Okay. And now let's brush some extender on again. And I'm going to make a value 9, okay? So that's pretty light. The eyes and feet are black. Anywhere. So I'm going to take a little artistic license, and I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of the dark gray 3 and brush mix that on my palette. I'm trying to get about a 2. Okay, and I am going to paint in the fly's body in about a number 2 gray. Okay, and then I want to dry that down. In fact, I'm thinking that might be a little better, a little bit darker, so I'm going to put some black on my brush, a little bit of extender, and just come back in and glaze over a little bit with that little darker. Okay, that looks better to me.